Most people believe that success comes from motivation, that one day they'll wake up feeling ready to change their life. But that day never comes. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect timing. And while they're waiting, days pass, weeks pass, years pass. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is only now. Success is not built in a single day of inspiration. It's built in the quiet, invisible moments when no one is watching. It's built when you choose to show up, even when you don't feel like it. When your mind tells you to stop, but you keep going anyway. Most people overestimate what they can do in one day and underestimate what they can do in a year because they rely on bursts of motivation instead of building habits. And motivation is unreliable. It fades. It disappears. It leaves you exactly when you need it the most. That's why so many people start strong, but never finish. They get excited in the beginning. They make big plans. They feel unstoppable. But when things get hard, when progress slows down, when results don't come fast enough, they quit. Not because they're weak, but because they depended on something temporary. Real change begins the moment you stop relying on motivation and start building something stronger. Because success is not about how you feel. It's about what you do, consistently, every single day, whether you like it or not. Consistency is not exciting. It doesn't give you instant results. It doesn't give you quick rewards. And that's exactly why most people avoid it. Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to do the same thing over and over again. Because doing the same work daily, without seeing immediate progress, feels frustrating. It feels like nothing is changing. But what you don't see is what's happening beneath the surface. Every small action, every repeated effort is building something. Slowly, quietly, invisibly. Think about it. A single drop of water seems harmless, but when it falls again and again on the same spot, it can break stone. That is the power of consistency, not intensity, not motivation, but repetition. The ability to show up even when the results are not visible yet. This is where most people quit. They work hard for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, but when they don't see change, they stop. They think it's not working. But the truth is, it was working. They just didn't stay long enough to see it. Consistency requires patience. It requires trust. Trust in the process, even when there is no evidence yet. Because real growth doesn't happen in leaps. It happens in layers. Day by day, action by action, you are becoming stronger, more focused, more disciplined. And one day, all those small efforts come together, and suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes your reality. That's when you realize it was never about doing something big. It was about doing something small every single day without stopping. Motivation feels powerful, almost magical. It gives you a sudden burst of energy, a feeling that you can do anything. But motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like a passing emotion. One day you feel inspired. You make plans. You promise yourself change. And in that moment, you truly believe it. But the next day, the feeling fades. The excitement is gone. The energy disappears. And suddenly, everything feels harder. This is where most people stop. Not because they are incapable, but because they were depending on motivation. And motivation cannot be trusted. Discipline, on the other hand, is different. Discipline doesn't rely on how you feel. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for the right mood. It simply acts, whether you're tired or distracted or overwhelmed. Discipline shows up anyway. It tells you to move, even when your mind is full of excuses. It pushes you forward when everything inside you wants to stop. And that is real power. Because the moment you stop relying on motivation and start building discipline, you take control. You stop being controlled by your emotions. You stop negotiating with your comfort. You become consistent. And consistency creates results. Discipline turns actions into habits, habits into routines, and routines into identity. You no longer say, "I'll try." You say, "I do this." That shift changes everything. Because once something becomes part of who you are, it no longer feels optional. A disciplined person doesn't wait for the perfect day. They don't wait to feel ready. They execute again and again, without question. And over time, while others start and stop, they keep going. And that's why they win. Not because they are more talented, not because they are more motivated, but because they didn't stop, because they chose discipline over emotion. And in the end, that choice makes all the difference. At first, it feels difficult. Showing up every day, pushing yourself, staying consistent. It feels heavy. There will be days when you doubt yourself, days when you feel like nothing is changing, days when quitting feels easier than continuing. But this is the process. This is where transformation begins. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. Because every time you choose to continue, even when you don't feel like it, you are building something deeper than success. You are building character. You are becoming someone who doesn't give up, someone who doesn't rely on feelings, someone who shows up no matter what. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to change. Your mindset shifts. Your habits become stronger. Your discipline becomes natural. What once felt impossible starts to feel normal. What once required effort becomes part of who you are. This is the real reward. Not just success, but transformation. Because success can be temporary, but who you become, that lasts forever. One day, you'll look back, and you won't recognize the person you used to be, the one who waited, who hesitated, who made excuses. That version of you is gone, replaced by someone stronger, more focused, more disciplined. And in that moment, you'll realize it wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it was consistency, it was discipline, it was the decision to not stop, no matter how slow the progress felt, no matter how hard it became. You kept going, and that changed everything. Stay consistent, stay disciplined, because your future is created by what you do today. At the end of everything, it comes down to one simple decision. Not talent, not luck, not perfect conditions, just a decision. The decision to show up every single day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching. Because the truth is, your life right now is a reflection of what you've been doing consistently, and your future will be built the same way, not by what you plan, but by what you repeat. So the question is, what are you repeating every day? Are your habits building your future or destroying it? Are your actions moving you forward or keeping you stuck? Because whether you realize it or not, you are already consistent. The only difference is what you are consistent with. Some people are consistent with excuses. Some people are consistent with procrastination. And some people are consistent with growth. The choice is yours. You don't need a new life overnight. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. One action, one habit, one step, and then repeat it again and again and again until it becomes who you are. Because once it becomes part of your identity, it no longer feels difficult. It becomes automatic. And that's when everything changes. Not in a moment, but over time, quietly, steadily, powerfully. So decide today, will you continue the same patterns, or will you build something better? Will you stay where you are, or will you become who you're meant to be? The answer is not in your thoughts, it's in your actions. And your actions start now. Because in the end, it's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you do every single day. One day, all the effort, all the discipline, all the consistency will make sense. Not today, not tomorrow, but one day you'll wake up and realize you are no longer the same person. The struggles that once controlled you no longer have power over you. The habits that once felt impossible are now part of your daily life, and the life you once dreamed about is now your reality. But no one will see the full story. They will only see the result. They will call it luck. They will call it talent. But you will know the truth. You will remember the early mornings, the silent battles, the days when you didn't feel like continuing, and yet you did. You kept going when no one believed in you. You kept going when nothing seemed to change. And that is what made the difference. Because real success is built in silence. It's built in moments that no one applauds. It's built in discipline that no one sees. And it's built in consistency that no one celebrates. Until one day, everyone notices. But by then, you've already changed. Not just your results, but yourself. You've become someone who doesn't need motivation. Someone who doesn't wait. Someone who executes no matter what. And that is your greatest victory. Not the money, not the success, but the person you became in the process. Because that person can never be taken away from you. That discipline, that mindset, that strength is now yours forever. So remember this. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your system is what you do every single day. So choose wisely. Stay consistent. Stay disciplined. And become someone your past self would never believe. This is not just motivation. This is a reminder that your life is in your hands.